Despite the High Court decision lifting acting Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i's ban on street demos in Kisumu, Nairobi and Mombasa counties, the opposition has gone slow on the protests, suspending the demos. Officially, NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga attributed the suspension to the coalition honor of victims of police brutality in the quest for electoral justice. The ceremony is set to coincide with the Mashujaa Day celebrations on Friday, where NASA is to communicate its next course of action. But sources indicate NASA and Jubilee leadership are under intense pressure from the international community for a ceasefire and dialogue. The foreign envoys threatening sanctions against the leaders for continued poisoning of the political atmosphere. The sanctions including travel bans for those stoking embers of violence.
If and when appropriate, we will take steps under U.S. law. My government will take steps under U.S. law to hold people accountable.
The European Union perspective, we're also indeed looking closely at the situation, but at this stage we have not engaged into any measures.
The envoy is shuttling between NASA and Jubilee leaders to strike a middle ground, the latest being a meeting with NASA leadership yesterday, Monday, demanding a pause on the street protests. But the opposition was adamant it will not take part in the repeat poll with the current IEBC, a stance the envoys left it for Odinga to decide.
Leaders should publicly reject violence and ensure their supporters do the same. Some Kenyans are stoking community tensions, and it must stop.
We are following too, and the UK reserves the right to take appropriate action, which may include refusing and revoking visas.
Understandably, the envoys objected to Jubilee's enactment of amendments to the electoral laws midstream of an electoral process. This informing the delay of President Uhuru Kenyatta's signing them into law despite appending his signature on the supplementary budget delivered together with the amended bills. Kenyatta had reportedly given the diplomats until yesterday to convince NASA to abandon the street protest while holding the assenting of the laws as a trump card.
The draft election laws amendment bill, for example, puts at risk the IEBC's ability to conduct a better election within the mandated 60-day timeline and unnecessarily increases political tensions.
There has also been growing discomfort over the protests within NASA, with MPs allied to Musalia Mudavadi's ANC reportedly urging their party leader to convince Odinga to abandon mass protest during a PG yesterday. The international pressure taking a different dimension, with the International Criminal Court acknowledging receipt of a petition by International Policy Group, an NGO, to probe opposition leaders Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka over alleged ethnic incitement. The ICC prosecution says it will announce its course of action in writing. This as Deputy President William Ruto held an exclusive international media conference where he accused the opposition chief of insincerity, giving conditions to the Electoral Commission despite withdrawing from the race.
He wants to cause a riot, create and foment a situation where we are told, okay, let's forget about democracy. Let's forget about the people voting. Let us sit around a table and agree on sharing a government in some way.
Samugina for the big question.